Hello, how are you? This is Els coming from Bemis Crafty Corner, and this is going to be take 2 on this because I tried this once and the video was like an hour and 10 minutes long. So I'm going to try and make it a little bit shorter, and so let's talk about what we're going to need to do these, okay? So this is the Traveler's Notebook Style Folio that we're doing, and pretty simple, but it is a hanging file folder project. I suppose you could use a regular folder if you wanted to, but I'm doing it with some hanging folders. So you need 2 hanging file folders that you have cut to 8 inches, okay? So you're going to cut these off, and you're going to need a pad of paper, some glue, some trims, some embellishments, scoreboard, and some double-sided tape. Okay, so I'm going to get the paper out and get things started, and then I'll be right back to kind of walk you through the process. Okay, let's deal with the file folders first. You need 2, one for the outside cover and one for the inside, for the little folio flip thing. So you're going to cut 2 of these. They're both going to be 8 inches from the fold, and then one is going to be 8.5 and the other one is going to be 9 inches. So we'll start with the 9-inch one. Put the fold in your scoreboard up against the side, and you're going to score this at 4 3/4. And you're going to turn it around and score the other side at 4 3/4. Okay, now if you want to reinforce this, that's what you have the extra pieces for that you cut off. The second one is the one that is 8.5 inches. Put the fold up against the side, and you're going to come out to 4 1/8. Okay, that's 1 mark past the 4. Turn it around, do the same thing on the other side. Okay, let's get rid of the scoreboard. We're going to bring these back in. We're going to fold and burnish all of these, making sure that our tops and bottoms lined up. And then we're going to make a couple more cuts, okay? On the 9-inch one, these are going to be slash pockets. So I'm going to put that in my trimmer, and I'm going to cut from this score line to the outside, wherever I want that pocket to be. And then I'm just going to take this piece, put it over here, just recut on the other side, okay? Doesn't have to be perfect. Close enough for hand grenades and horseshoes, okay? So now you have your outside cover with 2 slash pockets, okay? Then we're going to do the cut on this. And the cut on this, pick a side. Whichever side you want to put your double pockets on, that's the side we're going to be cutting on. You're going to be using your ruler, and you're going to come down about 3 1/4 inches, and you're going to mark this. And then you're going to go 1 inch below that, and you're going to mark that. get this all lined up. You're going to draw a line, and this part we're going to cut out, okay? Now, if you need to do it on your cutter, do it on your cutter. If not, just get a pair of scissors. Any pencil mark that's left, you can cut off. We're cutting that tab completely out. Okay. So now I have a top pocket, I have a bottom pocket, and over here I'm going to need a pocket. So I'm just going to decide how much I want to cut off of here. Typically, that's about 1 3/4 inches for me. I'm going to keep that. Do you know why? Because it fits here perfect. Just where I want it to be, okay? Let me do that way so you guys can see. So that's going to fit and be my reinforcement, all right? So I now have my front cover with 2 slashes, and I have my inside piece that has 2 pockets and a pocket over here, and I'm ready to go. So my next step is to measure all of the pieces that I need to cut, keeping in mind that I really need to cut an outside for front and back, an inside on both sides, something for this pocket, something for these pockets, inside, outside, and then for the slashes, okay? So I'm going to measure all of this. I'll give you all of the measurements and tell you where they're going to go, and then I'm going to cut the paper to go in here, and when I come back, we're going to put in the centerpiece, and we're going to lay out where the pockets are going to go. Be right back. All right, let's go through the dimensions. So this is the outside cover with our 2 slash pockets. So we're going to cut 4 pieces that are 4 1/4 across, 8 1/2 tall. Okay? These will fit right in here. Now, because I'm using this colored file folder and it matches so nicely, I'm not going to cut anything for the front for this one. But if you wanted to cover the outside with something, you would cut 4 of these 4 1/4 by 8 1/2 inch pieces, okay? And then for my slashes, I've cut these strips from 12-inch paper, and they are 2 5/8 across here. And I could make them wider if I wanted it wider, but what I want is to show the burgundy on the outside. So now how I cut these is I put it down, I put it in the middle, then I give myself twice the distance at the bottom. Let me move this up so everybody can see. So if I have 1/4 inch here and 1/4 inch here, I'm going to move this up 1/2 inch, okay? And then I'm just going to take some paper clips, and I'm going to clip this piece of paper in place so that I can draw a line on the other side. Okay? So then I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to draw a line here. I would if I could find my pencil, but we all know how this works, right? I lose my pencil. So I'm going to cut on this line, and I'll do the same thing on the other side to get this piece. Okay? Now I am going to show you how to do the reinforcement here. Unfortunately, to do it, I'm actually going to have to like use a piece of the cardboard, and you're not going to see it very well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink this first, okay? This will make my life and your life a little easier. And I'm going to have to ink anyway, so might as well ink it now. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on a scoreboard, and I'm going to find the center. And this is 1 3/4 inches. Hey, nobody move. So just count the divots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 divots. So we're going to go over 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to put a line. I'm going to do it a couple of times because I want to break that fiber. Okay? Fold. Now this fold is going to go in the natural fold. So you're going to put your adhesive on here. I don't necessarily recommend tape on this because later on you're going to have to punch through to put in your eyelets, and you may not want to punch through tape. Okay, so there's my fold, even top and bottom. Line it up in the fold. Press it down. And then if I put this back in my scoreboard, this should be at 4 3/4, this mark right here, which is my center. So I'm just going to go just 1/4 inch over. A 1/4 inch over. And this is going to open up the spine a little bit. And again, I'm just going to go over these a couple of times. Okay? So once I have my marks in, you can see it's going to open my spine up a little bit, make it a little easier, a little rounder. That's what we want. Okay? So now, before we put any paper in, you're going to ink. You're going to ink across the top and the bottom. You're going to ink along your edges. You're going to ink the center seam. You're going to ink the outside. All the way around. You're going to ink your insert as well. Okay? You're going to ink your papers that go in. Okay? Whoop. On this one, you should have 2 pieces that measure 8 by 3.5 to go on the inside. And then on this one, you should have a piece that is 3 3/8 by 3. And on this one, 3 7/8. 3 3/8 by 3 5/8. Okay? Then, over here, you're going to want a piece that's 8 inches long and 1.5 inches high. And then you're going to want your pieces for the outside, which are the exact same measurements as in here. So 8 by 3.5. And these are going to be for your outside. Okay? So that's all of those pieces. We get this put away. Ink everything. Okay, let's talk about this real quick before I put this away. With this, you want to make sure when you put your pockets over that you don't, you don't have that. You don't want that. Okay? So make sure that when you're doing this, it fits appropriately. And if you're going to cut finger notches here, line your sides up, put this to the top, do your finger nip, and then scoot that down and it lines up perfectly. Okay, so those are my tips on that one. We'll be back to it. Make sure you ink everything. Don't forget to ink here. Okay, and then the last piece of this is the notebook. So to make the notebook, you're going to need a piece of cardstock, scrapbook paper that is 8 by 8 inches. You're going to score it at 4, fold it in half, and then you're going to get your paper that you want to put in there. The paper is 7 3/4 by 7 3/4. Okay, laminate this, cold laminate this, whatever you want to do. If you don't have cold laminate, clear contact paper works. Okay, but once you laminate it, make sure that you rescore your line, and then we're going to do a 7-hole on this. I'm going to show you that when we get to it. So I am going to ink everything, glue all my paper down here. I'm going to ink this, and then I'm going to come back and show you how to poke the holes. I'm going to laminate this. I'm going to show you how to poke the holes and how to stitch this in, and then we're going to finish putting this all together. I will be back. So, one last thing I wanted to talk about. In order to put a closure on this, if you're going to use, the seam binding to put closure on this, or twine, or whatever, you're going to want to decorate the outside. If you're not decorating the outside per se, you do want to make sure that you have some kind of decoration that goes over the top of this. Now, for me, that has to do with the cut-aparts that I used. I have several pretty large ones here. And here, let me just grab one. Okay, there we go. So I would be putting something like this on the front. So I will just put that over the seam binding and some kind of decoration over the back to cover the seam binding up. But I'm going to use some Fabri-Tac to attach that. Now, if you're using a full panel, then you want to attach this and then cover it with your panel, okay? So, just a thing. All right, so everything inside should be glued down on both of these. And you can see it's starting to take shape. And then this laminated, paper cut, everything's trimmed, that's ready to go. So let's get this glued down first, okay? So, in order to glue this down, we're going to do two things. One over here, we're going to put some 1/4 inch tape on the outside. You don't have to do this. I'm doing it because I have found that my glue doesn't stick quite as well as I want. So I will put some 1/4 inch tape on the side and along the bottom of these pockets. And then I'll take that off and expose the tape. And then I'll add my glue just on the inside of it. Now that's also going to keep anything that I put in there from sticking to the tape. but the tape's going to grab right away. So I'll do the same thing down here. And then let's talk about this pocket. You can either just, you know, tape and glue this down, or you can gusset this. And if you're going to gusset it, you're just going to take a piece of the file folder. You've seen me do this 1,000 times. Cut a 1-inch strip. Score it down the middle. Fold it in half. And then just kind of do an eyeball measurement. Right about there. We'll get 2 of those. We're going to ink the fold because it's going to show. Okay, then we're going to wedge the corners. And as you can see, this doesn't have to be perfect, you know. And we do that just to get rid of some of the bulk. I would put a piece of tape on this as well. And I'm going to put the tape on the outside, on the fold side, close to the edge. Take that up, add glue, and then this is going to go on this side. Put it on the flap itself, but I'm going to do it down here because it just makes it easier for me. You want it right on the edge, and then you're going to put some tape on the top here. And when you're ready to put this down and you've done both sides, then you're going to take the tape off, add a little glue, and fold it over. Okay? So I am going to get my pockets closed up, and then do my front cover, and I will be back and we're going to do this. So now it's time to poke some holes. We're going to do some big holes and we're going to do some little holes. We're going to do little holes first. So you're going to want whatever cord you use, whatever string you use to tie your signatures, your needle, whatever you use to poke into, and of course your notepad. Now, I'm just going to make sure that this is in here straight. Get it even top and bottom. And then I'm going to poke a hole in about the middle, about a 1/2 inch from the top and about a 1/2 inch from the bottom. And then I'm going to put 2 holes in between each of those at about 1 inch intervals. You can measure this if you want to, entirely up to you. I'm going to put, I know you never see me do this, but I'm going to put some paper clips on here just to hold everything together, because I'm working on the laminate and it's kind of slickery. And then we're going to sew this in. Now, if you've done a 3-hole or a 5-hole, you know how to do this. You're going to start in the middle, come through on the back. Now, I like to put a clamp here to keep that from pushing through. And then it doesn't matter which direction you go, up or down. You're just going to go to the next available hole and come through. And then the next hole. And the next hole. Okay? Now when you get to the end, you're just going to go back. So just go back down through that hole. Come back up through this one. Go back down through the center hole. Let me back this off so you can see. I'm just going to go back down through the center hole. And then we're going to start the process again. I'm going to come up through this one. Go down through this one. Come up through this one. The last one wants to give me garbage. And then back down. And back up through the next. Okay. Just through there. And then I'm going to stop. See, I'm missing a stitch. It's okay. I'm going to come around with my needle. I'm going to go underneath my first stitch. This is my first stitch. So I'm going to go under my first stitch and my draw thread, my other thread. And then I'm going to pull against each other. That's going to tighten it up. Let's get rid of these because now they're just in the way. So once I have that drawn up, right over left, tie a knot, then left goes over the right, tie a knot, cut your thread. That's it, guys. That is a 7-hole pamphlet stitch. And then we're going to fold this in half. I'm going to put a couple of these big butterfly paper clips on here just to kind of reinforce the idea that I want this to stay flat. And that's it for the holes on that one. Now we're going to do the holes on this one. For the hole on this one, I have this set to about 1/3 of an inch. And we're just going to come in on that center fold, pop a hole on both sides. You need to be able to see this. There we go. Okay. Then we're going to set some eyelets, and then we're going to talk about elastic thread. I'll be right back. All right, eyelets are set. I did forget to ink this, so we're gonna ink that real quick. Move it down here. There we go. All right, so now we're gonna put in the elastic that makes this traveler's notebook style. So we're gonna go once, twice, 3 times, and about 6 inches just for good measure. Okay, get this. Damn it. There we go. Okay. Down. Doesn't matter which hole you put it down through, okay? It's going to go down through the hole, back up through the other one. And you can see we're only using 1 hole here. Back up. And then kind of wiggle this around till we get this in the middle and tie a knot. Get my cords lined up. You leave it, cut it, your choice, whatever you want to do. All right, so now I sort of designed this so you didn't have to cut the notches. You can if you want to. That's entirely up to you. So there's one. As you can see, it sits inside the elastic. This is the second one. I did cut the notch in here so you could see. So I'm going to grab the second elastic, put this one in. There, see? It fits in the little, bloop. See, it fits in the little wedge? Okay. So now this is ready to decorate. So you can use any ephemera that you want. If you're using a paper pad like I am, cut up your tags and tabs and things that come in there and the strips. See what you like, see what works for you, and use those. Or just find some other ephemera that matches it and use that. It is entirely up to you. I'll get this one decorated. I will show you just for giggles what it comes out looking like. I'll be back and show you what I've done. So let's take a look at the finished piece. Again, I didn't cover the whole front because I kind of like the color of the file folder. So I just did some images and I offset them a little bit just to kind of give them a little interest and to use them to hold down the seam binding. Added a little quote to the front, and then inside, of course, we have the pocket. We have a little pocket here, a large pocket here, our journal or notebook. Then we have some cards in here and a little card here. There's a pocket here. We have a pocket here. A little slash here with this little piece that, you know, it was just cute and it was together, so I didn't cut it apart, just made a little folding card out of it. Then a couple of little journey cards in the back, and that's it. This one's done. I didn't use anything on here except the quote that didn't come with the paper pad, okay? So this one was done completely out of a paper pad. Oh, and a piece of cardstock. 2 file folders. So the first time you do this, it'll take you about an hour and a half. That's a project time on this one. The second and third time you do it, probably about an hour and 15 minutes. Eventually get it down to about 45 minutes. All right, so that is it. That's everything. If you have any questions or anything like that, go ahead and reach out. Let me know. Put it in the comment section. I don't care, and I will get back to you as quickly as I can to help you out. Till the next time, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that red button for me and subscribe, like me, ring my bell, share me with all your friends, and your friends can be my friends can be your friends, and our friends can get to be friends. Before you know it, we have a giant crafting community. I post videos on Mondays and Wednesdays, and I go live on Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Sundays at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. That's 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 11, 12, 1 across the country. So that's it. Until I see you again, stay safe. Bye-bye.